I don't know if you've ever done this before, but like, have you ever checked the number of minutes that you have spent on your phone and then just been absolutely appalled at the number that you saw? And it wasn't just minutes, but it was hours. And that actually happened to me midsummer. I was feeling actually pretty anxious. I felt like all of my energy was completely gone. I felt like all of my creativity was sapped. At that time also, I was moving. I was working on this really big YouTube project. I just felt like there was just no mental clarity at all. And I checked to see how many minutes I had spent on my phone, and it was hours. It was absolutely appalling. And I'm like, this cannot be helping my situation at all. Also, not to mention, I was running after a 4-year-old who's now a 5-year-old, and then I had a baby that was a couple months old that I had back in March. So midsummer, no energy, no clarity, mental clarity, and I just felt almost like I was in a fog, and I just felt like something needed to change. So I decided to take matters into my own hands, or basically take my phone out of my hands and fast from my phone. And there were some surprising things that resulted of it. I mean, I expected certain results, but there were some other things that just really surprised me. Hello, I hope you're having a wonderful day today. Thanks so much for being here. If you're new here, hi, welcome. My name is Katie. I am a music teacher, a mother, and an entrepreneur, and a lot of what I do is tied to social media. I debated on whether or not to share this because I'm normally a pretty private person, but I thought that maybe perhaps if I shared this, that this would be beneficial to somebody else. Back in about mid-August, about mid to late August, I decided to take a break from social media. And it was just something where I thought, all right, I'm just going to take a break for about maybe a week or two. I just felt very foggy, for lack of better words. I felt very tired. I felt very consumed by consuming media, and not just social media, from consuming a lot of YouTube and from being in quarantine and just with everything that has been going on in the world. It just seems like your phone and the internet is your window to the outside world. But I found myself feeling very tired. I found myself feeling very lethargic and just kind of the whole time. The more and more, I wouldn't say the whole time, but the more and more that I used my phone. And I found myself looking at the amount of time that I was on my phone and being appalled by how much time I was spending on my phone. And just noticing a correlation between my creativity level, my energy level, and my mood. So what I did is that I decided to limit the amount of usage on my phone as much as possible. And what happened is that I thought it was just going to be for a couple of weeks. It ended up being for almost 4 months, because the more and more I put my phone away, the more and more I started to feel lighter. I started to feel like my mood was improving. I started to have clarity. When I would wake up in the morning, I would feel refreshed. I started sleeping better. So here's what I did. I deleted the YouTube app off of my phone, and I also deleted the YouTube Studio app off of my phone as a YouTuber. I took all of that extra time, and I was working on a series of videos, 16 days of strumming. And I didn't see, uploading to YouTube and responding to comments as something where it is like, quitting that kind of social media, because I felt like that is an outlet for me. And it is also a source of income for me. And I see it very differently than how I see Instagram. or Snapchat or whatnot. Now, to be honest, I was never really a Facebook person. I was never really a Snapchat person, not really on Twitter. I think what happened to me is that I would look through Instagram and I would get in something called a scroll hole. I heard this on Netflix, like you've fallen into a show hole. And for me, it was the scroll hole. I would just scroll, 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 scroll. And pretty soon I was in this hole that I just felt like I couldn't get out of because I just kept compulsively scrolling because I just felt like I was looking for something. And then realized I'm never going to find what I'm looking for. So, in order to stop the scrolling, what I did is that I just stopped looking at Instagram. And I used that Instagram as to communicate with one or two people that I was in contact with, but I didn't post anything to my stories. I didn't post anything to my feed. Or if I did post something to my stories, it was something that I was promoting, and I think that was twice during that time because I was a part of an ukulele festival, and I wanted to promote that person's work and what they were doing, and because they're fantastic, fantastic artists, and I wanted to support them, and they asked me to be a part of it, so it was a very huge honor to do that, and I wanted to do my due diligence to support this other person. But during that time, I just decided to put my phone away and just to see what would happen. So I started reading more. Instead of compulsively reach for my phone, I started to read more. And I noticed that my overall sense of calm started to increase. I love to read. I used to be a literacy teacher, and I read 7 books within that almost 3.5, 4 month period of time. Whereas in the past couple of years, I haven't even come close to that number of books that I have started and completed. You know, anybody else feel that way? I noticed just like how I would spend my time was just so different. And being a mom of a now 5-year-old, she just turned 5, and an 11-month-old, and now expecting my 3rd child, I wanted to make sure that my mind was right. And I felt like I was reaching for my phone rather than just being present. You know, like, what am I looking for on my phone? You know, I can always look at my emails at a set amount of time and just leave it at that. The emails will still be there. And if somebody needs to send me a text message, it's usually the people that are in contact with me the most, or they need to call me. It got to the point where I was only using my phone for 45 minutes a day collectively. So that's checking messages, responding to text messages, maybe even making a phone call here or there, or checking the weather. But it was reduced so much that I wasn't reaching for it anymore. And so just being relaxed and realizing that I don't need my phone on me all the time, that I don't need to check it all the time, and realizing that I have control over it rather than it having control over me. And I understand that social media is not something that I think is evil. I think that it can be a wonderful tool to use for positivity, and it's definitely grown my business, and it's helped me connect with some amazing people. But I just noticed for me that once I put my phone down, once I started to read more, once I started to just see it as not as an option very much anymore, that my mood overall improved. And 2, my creativity, I felt like it came back. And I feel like there's always the tyranny of the urgent. There's something called the tyranny of the urgent, where you're always trying to work on the things that you have right in front of you, and it's like, I gotta get this done, I gotta get this done, I gotta get this done, but then you neglect the other things that are really important to you. And there are so many things that I've wanted to do, but I feel like the tyranny of the urgent has always kept me away from those things. There's so much that I would love to do with this channel, and there's so many ideas that I have. I have courses that I have written for, and they're sitting on my laptop. I've written the courses, I've written the outline, they're all there, and they've been sitting there for 2-3 years. What's stopping me? The tyranny of the urgent. feeling like I have to check my phone, feeling like I have to respond to comments right away, feeling like I have to see if somebody sent me an urgent message. It's like, no, it's always going to be there. Just being okay with having set hours for certain things and making sure that I'm able to get the things done that I need to get done without being distracted. Because, how many times are we working on something and then we pick up our phones? So overall, sense of calm increased. It was so peaceful. I can't really explain that. My sense of clarity increased. My ability to be present, I felt like that increased a lot. I felt like almost like a spell had been broken. I also felt like my creativity came back. And then also, I had a thought. Maybe it's pregnancy brain. Okay, creativity came back, calm back, moved back. And something interesting is that I felt my energy come back. And probably because I was sleeping better, because I wasn't looking at my phone, even though I have blue light blocking glasses before I go to bed. But I just noticed that my overall energy increased. I was also, here's something else that was a factor too, is that I decreased my carbs and sugar significantly and just really wanted to do a complete cleanse. I just felt like it was time. And because I did that, I felt so much better. I felt like I was able to tackle things with so much more ease. Because when all of your mental energy is tied up, even into fun things, even into good things, sometimes those good things can take you away from the best things. And I really want my family to receive the best of me. They should be receiving the best of me. I want to be able to dive into this creative work here and be able to put forth the best work that I possibly can. I don't want to feel rushed. I don't want to feel like there's just something hanging over my head. And I also want to tell you that usually when you feel like you're behind, and something about social media is that, scrolling through it and seeing all of the wonderful things that people are doing, for me personally, I don't know about you, I felt like awesome and I celebrate what they were doing, but I also, in the same token, I felt a little behind. And then feeling like you're behind, sometimes what you do is you put too much on your plate when you feel like you're behind. So now overall, I don't have those really strict rules that I have on my phone that I did before, but I do stop myself a lot, especially when it comes to watching or binge watching YouTube videos. If I'm scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and I'm not finding what I'm looking for, I just have to tell myself, Katie, you're not going to find what you're looking for. If you haven't found it within the last 10 videos and you haven't found something to watch, just put your phone down. You would have gotten done what you need to have gotten done if you had just put your phone down 5 minutes ago and stopped scrolling. A permanent change that happened is that I no longer scroll on Instagram. I have to apply that to YouTube now, but I no longer scroll on Instagram. If something pops up and I like it, like the first video or photo on my feed of people that I follow, I like it, I comment, but I no longer scroll. And I just know myself because I won't stop scrolling. And because it's just infinite scroll, it can be very, very time consuming. And I didn't realize how much mental energy it was taking from me until I put my phone down. So I still use social media. I think that it's a wonderful platform to be able to spread positivity. That's what I want to use my platform as, or just as my Instagram following and YouTube, because I want to bring people hope. I want to bring people joy. And just making sure that I don't get caught up in something that is tempted to suck me in. Because now I know what it's like to not have that. I know what it's like to put that away for a while. And I was talking to a friend of mine who was also trying to reduce her phone time. This was back, I think, around the new year. And she said, how did that go? or how is that going with reducing your phone time? Because she and I had been talking back and forth because she asks me questions and I ask her questions too. And she's really talented and really sweet. But she just asked me how that was going. And I read this somewhere where we just like how there are seasons that change. So I think that there are seasons that change within us as well. Sometimes it is winter, where it's not like everything is dead. Really, maybe we just need time to rest, hibernate, recharge, where we're not, working and plowing in the field. It's a time to work maybe on your house. And you need that rest and that recharge because spring is coming. And you're going to need that energy for spring to break the ground, to till it, to plant the seeds. And then you wait. And you wait, and you wait. You wait for the rain. You wait for the plants to grow. Then comes the harvest. You know what I mean? Like, oh, you feel like the wind is at your back and it's time to go, go, go. Otherwise, if you don't reap the harvest, then it's going to go bad in the field. All right. And then comes fall. The harvest, fall, that type of thing. And you store things. You're starting to prepare for the winter again. And I feel like that is the way with seasons, that if we try to treat every season of our life like summer and fall, where everything's harvest, 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 there's no rest. And it's also the same with land, that I don't know if you know this, and you probably do, that if you plant the same crops in the same field over and over and over again, the soil becomes so depleted that it can't support anything anymore. And that's why you see farmers, they switch fields every year. Like one field has soybeans, and one field has corn, one field has hay, and then they rotate, because what the soybeans do is that they add nitrogen, I believe so. So you're from some farmers watching, you can tell me, but then the soil gets enriched and it's prepped and it's ready for another crop, but not soybeans. And it's ready for the hay, or it's ready for the corn. And so, you're still producing things, it's just producing different things. And also making sure that you're resting the soil so you don't just exasperate its nutrients. I think it's the same with our lives too, that we have to be very careful about what we put into our bodies, into our minds, as well as what we output. Because if we have so much output and no input, it's a recipe for disaster. Just saying. Also, something interesting that I found, that when I did take my break from social media, or just posting for that on Instagram, I was still posting on YouTube, but I put lots of limits about checking my stats, because that can get you down a rabbit hole and make you feel very sad sometimes. Let's be honest. And but I would still respond to comments, but I would respond it on my laptop and not on my phone, because I had erased Studio off of my phone. I found it interesting that a couple people reached out to me and asked me how I was doing, because I would check my DMs for business, but that was probably once every other day. And they asked me, like, are you doing okay? You're not posting anymore. Are you all right? Which is very sweet for them to ask me, that they would care so much to reach out to me that way. But it was actually the exact opposite of maybe what they had assumed. I was actually doing better than I'd ever had. I felt really happy, really light, and like I said, increased mental clarity, increased creativity, and increased energy that I had. And I think it's interesting that when we think people aren't posting, we think that things aren't going well, when maybe they're just taking a break from things because they're doing well. It's also very easy to assume things on the internet. Oh, and I just had a thought that it also could be that somebody's social media feed looks fantastic. They look like they're having the time of their lives and everything looks perfect and beautiful. But it also could be that they're having a really hard time and you would never know. So I think with social media, there's a lot of room for assumptions, and just truth be told, you just don't know what's going on with somebody. So I don't really know where I was going with that, but I thought it was very interesting how people thought when I wasn't posting that things were not going well. And really it was the exact opposite. I had I was really happy. I think it's really sweet that they would reach out to me and ask me how I'm doing, and that's wonderful that you can have people like that in your lives. If you have people like that in your life that check on you and make sure that you're doing okay and they care. But I think it just also goes to show that you just really never know what's going on. I would like to know, have you ever taken a social media fast? Or have you fasted from something that wasn't necessarily, a bad thing, you see? Like, I don't think that this is it's not a bad thing, but you ever noticed that, hey, you know what, I should take a break from that, and I should put that down for a little bit and see what happens. Or if you have taken a fast from social media, what did you find? Did you find kind of the same results that I had? And maybe this is a video to inspire you to put your phone down, to stop scrolling, to read more, and maybe just see what life is like without your phone for a little bit. So yeah, like with everything, there's always a happy medium, there's always balance. Okay, well, that really concludes this video. I hope you have a wonderful day, and remember, you are loved.